Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got play-up props to close out the work week with y'all. 8 games on the NBA slate for us to choose from tonight, so very excited about that. Also have another episode up, so make sure to subscribe to that page. Don't miss the best bets that we have in the other episode for today, bringing both of these to you each and every weekday moving forward throughout this NBA season, so definitely continue to follow along with us. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA play-up prop, the young stud, Ja Morant.
Ja is only at 28.5 points and assists at some books. I see it's up to 30 at DraftKings. I'll still take it. Still bet it there. I have no problem. But yeah, wherever you can find it, like it's definitely good here. 30 plus points and assists. He's been off since Saturday. He's off the injury report. He's likely off the minutes restriction. And he's a guy who per 36 this season, like a friggin' cannonball out there. 28 points, 11 assists. So you're telling me he gets a full slate of run here. I mean, it is minus 11 for the Grizz. That's a little concerning. But while he's out there, 32% usage rate, 45% assist rate. Like, if it's a blowout, it's because he is putting his fingerprints on it in a revenge spot, a double revenge spot. They've lost twice to the Nets already this year. Ja had a nice game, 25-9 at Brooklyn. Very early in the season, only 14-11 in 28 minutes. But, you know, that was when he was on the minutes restriction for the most part. Brooklyn, their defense has fallen through the trap door. They've allowed the 7th most points to point guards on the season, 5th most last 15 days, and the 10.5 assists per game in the last 7. And, you know, extra rest. That's going to be the theme of the show here every day, every game, as people have not played since the weekend, basically. Ja in his career on 3+ days rest, 26 points, 7.2 rebounds. Shoots 50% versus 45% on normal rest, gets 21 points per game. This season in wins, 3 more assists per game. And this season on 3 days rest, 10 assists in just 27 minutes per game. So the double-double's plus 200. It's not out of the question that he gets his 10 dimes here, and he should have an easy time getting to the rim against the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I don't know if this is going to be a blowout or not. That would be my worry. But like Brooklyn's played played up to its competition and down, or whatever you want to call it, to the other teams that are not as good. So, I think this will be a good enough game that Ja will have to be out there is kind of the point. Like, I don't think it'll be necessarily like 20, 30 point blowout, but I mean, we know where the bulk of the production is going to be coming from. It's going to be Ja Morant. So no notes, no further notes on that one. Let me get to Walker Kessler. Golly, we are still getting value on Walker Kessler. And it's the spot a little bit, but it's just Walker Kessler. We've all been calling for this. Last year was really weird with Will Hardy, to be honest with you. I don't know what was going on in terms of playing Walker Kessler in his second season in the league when he was such a good rook. But now we're getting the minutes. We're back up to a starting center where they're like, this is our anchor. This is the dude that we're going to have in the middle of the floor moving forward for the foreseeable future whenever we decide who's going to be our actual future. But either way, for Walker Kessler at 21.5 PR, I'm taking the over on that. I would take the over on 9.5 points, and I would take the over on 10.5 boards if you can get those by themselves. They're juiced all the way down to the over, but this is silly, man. Like, he's going to be playing again. We got Markkanen questionable. We still have Jordan Clarkson questionable. I think the Markkanen one I care about more. I really don't care if Clarkson plays or not, to be honest. But I would prefer he doesn't play because the points, there'll be a few more shots at least for Walker. And they might not even be playing that much together, to be honest. So I, once again, don't care about Jordan Clarkson. But 26 points per game in the last 26.2 PR combined in the last 10 games. And he's played 10 of the last 12, but he's played 30 plus in 10 of the last 12. Every time he plays 30 minutes, 9 of those 10, he's gone over the 21.5 PR. And like I said, averaging 26.2 PR if he gets 30 plus minutes this season. His field goal attempts go up, his free throw attempts go up, and his rebound chances are at 22 in that time frame. And we've had plenty of John Collins in there. The only player that's missed a couple games in that time frame is Lauri Markkanen. But once again, Walker Kessler is the center of this team. We got Philip Kowski out once more. Philip Kowski was a guy that they were having eat into Walker Kessler's usage. There were a couple times where Philip Kowski started ahead of Walker when he was actually hurt as well and coming back from injury. So that's what we see here is like the complete reversal of his health. And now that he's back in there with his health, we see an insane sort of run for him over the course of the last 10 where he's up to everything for himself. So yeah, with the amount of injuries that we have going up in this matchup here, like I'm really not scared of anything to do with Phoenix down low. I mean, I wish Nurk was like fully healthy and just playing all the minutes, because he is awful down there. And so I believe that we're going to have a big, like the Rook is going to be standing next to, like, Osho is going to be 6'9", 6'10". They're going to give him center minutes next to Walker Kessler at 7'1". Good luck. Like, give me Walker all day to eat in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, Nurk is going to be back here, which I guess is great news. Yeah, that you don't have to deal with a solid foundation, fundamental guy like Mason Plumlee. Nurk is he's just all over the map. Like, I can't say anything in terms of like what he's going to do consistently, because I mean, he could have 20 boards himself, or he could just let Kessler get 20 boards. And the dude had 14 against Sacramento while they're giving up 141, and Sacramento barely misses a shot. So yeah, I love the rebounds here as the first look. And then scoring against Nurkic is definitely possible, because he's, like I said, he's lost out there. So that's great. And then on the other side, I still like the under, because Nurk can't make a layup. So that's great. All right. Pick 2 for me is a great game to watch here. Clippers and Nuggets. Give me Harden, 14.5 rebounds and assists. The assists open at 7.5. It's now 8.5. But that is really low for a team against a team that gives up the most assists per game in the league, the Denver Nuggets, and specifically third most to point guards, second most to shooting guards. A guy, they've given up 11 and 16 in 2 matchups with Harden this year. I don't expect him to have quite that much success diming up, but I expect his boards to be there. I mean, he's averaging 6.8 with the second most rebound chances on the season. And last matchup, Zubac was pretty much negated. 8 rebounds in 35 minutes, in terms of like, he's just trying to worry about Jokic. He's just trying to get Jokic out of there, let somebody else go collect the garbage. And that's what Harden does. That's why he gets rebounds. He gets these uncontested rebounds so that he can then initiate the offense for the Clippers. Kind of a weird guy to figure out on extra rest. Like, he had big jump when he got 2 days rest last year in 11 games, 7 rebounds, 10 dimes. And then his numbers kind of fell off when he got 3+ days rest. I don't know, maybe he gets out of shape, spends too much time at the club, whatnot. But he did, in a 3-day rest spot, have 20 and 11 against Denver. Once again, he continues to roast them with the assists. And on 2+ days rest this year, so either the 2 or 3, 25, 7.7, and 11.3. So I think some of those extra rest spots last year, I mean, remember that was when he first joined the Clippers and he was completely out of shape and they were in all out of sorts as an offense, and it was just an absolute disaster. Now he is back to Harden-centric offense. The ball's always in my hands. I'm always trying to fill up the stat sheet. So I think in this extra rest spot here, in a game that should be pretty up and down, friendly for offenses, definitely like the prop here. I mean, and he is plus 160 for double-double, or plus 1,500 for the triple-double. Not recommending necessarily to sprinkle anything more than like $1 or $2 on that, but it's intriguing.
Yeah, no, I like the assists a lot in this game. I think I've been targeting assists against Denver's defense for the season in general, because they allow a lot of them to the point guard and the primary ball handler, and they're just bad, man. This is a bad defense right now. Yeah, I think points are going to be a little easier to come by than the defense this in this game. And I don't necessarily know when Harden's going to board up to the points that you're making make sense to me with rest and like a little bit more time. It's so funny that he gets worse once you give him an extra day's rest, because idle hands and idle time for James Harden probably equals to Magic City. So yeah, let's get to the last bet I got here, which is Tyrese Maxey. I'm taking him on the dimes. I think this is going to spill into 6.5, but I got it at 5.5, and I would take that to like minus 140. Add it to your parlays if you want, but like, I'm not above betting minus 140 to if I find the value there. And I think 5.5. I think this number should be 7.5. I really do. I think Tyrese is going to be facilitating, and I think I'll give him. I think we're going to be seeing him against an indie team that really I don't trust on defense at all. I talked pure trash on them in the best bets video, and I have no respect for this team right now at all. And that's interesting, because I didn't have any respect for Philly as recently as like 3 weeks ago. But they're on an upward trajectory for sure. Like, you can't ignore having Tyrese, Paul George, and Joel on the floor at the same time. You still can't ignore it. It's just if they're actually out there or not, and they're going to be out there for this game. We just saw JoJo play and get back into shape. I think they're still working him back in with his touches and his field goal attempts, and he's taken a lot of them, 20 per game whenever he goes up against Miles Turner. So I'm talking about Joel Embiid for the sake of the fact that his usage is going to be high, and that's why I prefer Maxey on the dimes in this one as well. And the other thing here is the sort of like the perception that Indiana is still this limiting assist type of defense, and it's not. It is in the bottom 11, limiting assists overall, same number to point guards, whereas last year it was in the top 3 for most of the season, limiting point guards, assists, limiting assists in general. It's just not the defense that they've had, and everything down low is available for them. This is one of the worst paint defenses in the league. They're completely wide open down low. Joel's going to be getting in there. I mean, now Maxey, the interesting thing here that is crucial for this one is if you look at his drives, and this took a little while and it was really annoying, but I'll let you, so I'm going to let you know what I found because it took me like an hour to do this, literally. But when Maxey is playing with Joel Embiid, he's driving the ball to the basket like 3 fewer times per game than when Joel's not in the game, right? But in the games with Joel, when he is driving 3 times fewer, he's passing at a much greater rate. Right. It makes a ton of sense. You get a guy that's right next to the rim who's 7'1", 7'2", whatever, and you get next to the rim and you've got 2 guys on you. What are you going to do? You're just going to hand it to the dude that can literally just dunk it with barely jumping. Right. So I think that's going to be what we see here. He's averaged 12 assists per game per 36 with Joel on the floor this year. You look at last year, it was actually a little bit worse. And I don't really have much of an explanation other than there's just not much of a sample size this season. But last year, he was actually about 10 assists per game per 36 on the floor with Joel Embiid. He's not going to play 36 minutes with Joel Embiid against Indy, but it's going to be damn close for the majority of his minutes. And so I think as long as you have Joe out there for and they're on the floor together for 22, 23 minutes in this game, which I would expect, then yeah, I'm going to like him to continue diming up as that's been his tendency when he's playing with Joel.
Yeah, it all makes sense. It's a good deep dive into the stats. I still would add the points in there though, because he can easily go off and just carry you with his points here. I mean, he has 45 and 50 in 2 of his last 4 against the Pacers, who Nembhard's still not fully healthy. I guess he's their best option on them, but no D Smith. They're just not a team that's going to bring it on the road. And like you said, you could walk right into the paint and score. So I would add the points here. Everything is juiced up though. Looking at his props, like anything you combine together, it's like minus 130 or higher because it's the implied probability. So play around with it, get the best odds you can.
Yeah, I got a sexy little ditty for you if you want, which would be 20 and 5. 20 points, 5 assists for Tyrese. That'll still get you a nice number on DraftKings, is like plus 136 for that right there. So I like that look for sure. And yeah, as far as everything else goes, I think adding the points is a totally fine look there for Maxey as well. But that's all the time we have for you in Play of Props. We are going to be back here on Monday for you guys, so make sure you are subscribed to the page. Also, check out the Best Bets episode with 4 more plays for you. And until we see you next, happy betting.